Keynesian equilibrium is, as the slide says, a 45-degree line starting at 0 on a graph that shows where planned inventories would equal actual inventories. This point is where the PAE, price aggregate expenditures, and Y intersect. So you're going to solve for Keynesian equilibrium using the equation listed here, where planned inventories equal actual inventories, PAE equals Y. But first, to be able to use that equation, you have to find your firm's PAE, which is done using a different formula that's been shown in some prior slides, and that's PAE equals A plus B times Y. In this case, A is your autonomous expenditures, which is where your PAE curve begins, and B is your MPC, or marginal propensity to consume, which is the slope of the PAE curve, and Y is obviously the variable being solved for, output, or in this case, Keynesian equilibrium. So firms adjust their production over time based on how their equilibrium turns out. When PAE is equal to aggregate expenditures, that's the equilibrium point, but it can be viewed as either high or low. In order to increase your equilibrium, you need to increase or potentially decrease aggregate expenditures, which is done by increases or decreases of things like taxes, interest rates, wealth, government expenditures, and net exports. Firms determine when they are in good economic standing based on how high their equilibrium is within reference to the GDP. So like in this graph here, PAE2 is the more favorable outcome for a firm because it has a higher Y than PAE1, meaning a higher GDP was produced by the firm. These firms determine how to change their inventories based on the Keynesian equilibrium and the factors on this graph. When Y, or output or income, is greater than the PAE, meaning actual inventories are greater than planned inventories, like it says here, then the firm knows to reduce its inventory for the next period so to be at the best economic standing and highest possible GDP production. The same goes with the one right under it, as when actual inventories end up less than planned inventories, the firm has to adjust and increase its output so to meet the best GDP production, as they were wasting too much money on production resources, giving them a surplus of inventory at the end of the period. You want your actual inventories to equal your planned inventory so that the most effective output/income points are reached and that PAE will equal Y at the end of your period.